Yeah, the timer's going. So, thank you, Lauren. Yeah. Thank you, all of you, for for giving me big shoes to fill. So, what is one thing, right away with the question, what is one thing that you could eliminate from your life that would give you more of something? That is something you can do right now. You can make a decision to say no to something you've been saying yes to for a long time. Maybe there's been a series of yeses that should have started as a no. What is that one thing for you? It could be, for me, it was stop drinking alcohol for 30 days and it turned into almost a year now. So it could be something like that. And hold that as we go through this. So in the Mafia, we have a saying, and only focus on the pebble in your shoe. So if you're not in the Mafia, that might sound weird, but what do we do when we have a pebble in our shoe? I mean, this is pretty basic, right? We get the pebble out of our shoe. If we take our shoe off, we get the freaking pebble out of the shoe. Okay, don't want to insult anybody's intelligence. Just pretend that we didn't know that, okay? Let's say you have a pebble in your shoe and we just don't know what to do about that. So we're walking around, and maybe the first thing is like, man, what the hell, I can't walk right. What's going on? So after a couple weeks, maybe summer's coming up, sun's coming out, and I've got this really nice blister on my foot. It's just glistening in the sun, and I'm kind of insecure about going to the pool. So I'm going to go to the doctor, and they're going to be like, okay, so this is great. You're going to need this cream and these balms, and we're going to sand it down for you. So you go to the doctor, you get that scheduled. Now you're putting creams on it. And then the next thing you're doing is you're going, and maybe that pain is just building up. So then you get a painkiller because you don't want that blister is just, it's causing a lot of pain, that friction in your shoe. And you're just like, I just don't know what it is. So then you go to YouTube, maybe a few months later, and you're like, I'm walking funny. How do I get rid of this thing in my shoe? Every time I put my shoe on, I just don't know what's going on. And then you find a meetup group nearby that offers a workshop on getting rid of pebbles in your shoes. And you meet 30 brilliant, amazing souls who all have pebbles in their shoes. And you commiserate together for 72 hours. And it's amazing. You just dropped $10,000, and you feel really good. And you're in there, and you get your shoes off, and you're running around like, wow, this feels so amazing. And it's like smoking crack. You get really, I've never done it. You get really high. You get really, really high. And then 3 days after the workshop, you're back to your pebble in your freaking shoe. Mm-hmm. And this goes on, and this goes on, and for years and years. And maybe in an extreme case, in thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of adding all of these processes to your life just to get a pebble out of your shoe, when all you have to do is take this thing off and maybe shake it out and get your hand in there and drop this pebble. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what we do in the Mafia. I'm not in the Mafia. So focusing on the pebble in the shoe. This is exactly what Via Negativa is. Muhammad Ali said something along the pebble lines of, if you focus, it's not focusing on the mountain that's ahead of you that will wear you out. It's the pebble in your shoe. Mm-hmm. So we're all people in here. We all have big goals. We all think about, how we want to transform lives and transform the people. We want to transform ourselves. And I got to add, and continue to do these things. It's natural. So, Via Negativa. What the heck is Via Negativa? This fancy name that I decided. It's like, oh, it's so curious. It means the negative way, which is also my nickname sometimes. I'm Timo Way. Via Negativa is something these theologians back in the day, these church people, they said, God is this thing that we can't even comprehend or describe with language because it's just so big and infinite. Even saying that God is infinite seems like we're encapsulating it into something that it can't be described with it. So whether that, for you, it's God or nature, or for me, that silence, or whatever that is for you, like how many times have we been able to, proficiently been able to define love? I mean, in a sense, define love for me in a sentence. Well, it's this feeling, but it's this and this and this and this and this and this and this. So it's an indirect definition, describing something by what it is not. And in terms of subtraction, we learn from this great story that, evoking some more church fellows, the Pope back in the day, guys, this is also not exactly word for word what happened here, but in my mind, the Pope back in the day, there's this guy, Michelangelo. Anybody know Michelangelo? He created this thing, the statue of David, this beautiful marble statue, naked guy, just chiseled. And it's such a beautiful work of art, perfection even. And the Pope asked Michelangelo, how did you do this? Again, paraphrasing. And Michelangelo said, Pope, it's simple. I just start with a block, and I just remove everything that isn't David. That's via Negativa. That's the art of it. And turn the timer on for me if you're ready.
Sorry.
That's okay. I have it all up here. So it should be okay with that not being there. It's via Negativa too. So this work of subtraction, of defining something by what we are not, it's getting back in the spiritual essence of it. It is, okay, God is definitely not this. It's definitely not that. I'm definitely not that. It's getting and shedding all of these layers in which the ego is trying to take the center and try to say more money, more going out, more alcohol, better job, better title, better this, better that. All these layers as it's pulling me or pulling us away from our center. It's deciding I'm taking the wheel. Via Negativa says, no, that's not it. That's not who I am. That's not who I am. That's not who I am. You subtract until it's boring. You subtract until it's just you, naked in the world, reborn, so to speak. You kill it all until it's just you. Wow. So we like to add, right? The pebble in the shoe. We like to add. Sometimes the ego takes the wheel. There was a woman in Ohio who let Jesus take the wheel, and she went off in traffic. True story. I have to throw an Ohio reference.
This is true.
That's via Negativa. So, we love to add. And I'm here to tell you that adding, not always, adding has a lot of downside. And if there's one thing you remember from adding can be bad, adding can be negative, is that a lot of problems were once solutions. Okay? Think about that. Macro level, we have dams that are coming down at record pace. The Elwha Dam here in the state of Washington is the largest dam removal in the United States history. Why? Why did we remove the dam? Well, it's supposed to have a purpose to give us more. A lot of dams around the country are supposed to give us more power, more electricity, and more of something. But they ended up impeding the flow of salmon. It ended up blocking nature. It ended up lowering salmon populations that then affect the orca and other endangered species populations that are in the Puget Sound. And this is happening, the same story, over and over again. We are natural interventionists. We want to intervene instead of listening to John Lennon when he said, let it go. Or, let it be, sorry. Let it be. So, what solutions in your life, or what problems rather in your life, were once a solution? I'm bored, so I'm going to go out with the boys tonight and then buy a round of tequila. And then she looks nice. And 3 years later, what happened? I don't know. So what I want to argue then is that subtraction, it is subtraction, omission, that has no downside. When you remove something, what is the side effect of not doing heroin? What is the side effect of not drinking? What is the side effect of not doing X, Y, or Z? Whatever that pebble in your shoe is, what is the side effect of not addressing it? Omission has no side effects. But omitting to do something about that one thing in your shoe does. Because then we tend to do it by adding. So if we can look throughout history, we can see people like my favorite, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and the guy in the prison in South Africa, what was his name?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. All three of them went to prison. All three of them had their life subtracted from them. And within that confines of a space where it was completely subtracted and reduced to one space where nothing was around them and added to them, they created, all three of them created their movements from a space of zero. So, what I want to bring for you today, because I want to honor Lauren in the talk and give something practical to think about, is what is that one thing, as we've talked about, that one thing we can subtract from our lives that will give us a bigger upside? whatever it could be. It could even be a role, but there's a lot of fun ones going around right now. There's a book title. If it's not a book, yes, it's a no. If my grandfather had one that was, if a doctor has an MBA hanging in his office, leave. I love that one. So for me, it's no drinking. It could be no carbs. A lot of things can be just a couple simple rules. Instead of thinking and planning out a million different things, it could just be just as easy to say, well, I'm not going to eat anything white, I'm not going to drink my calories, and I'm not going to eat sugar. Watch what happens to your body then. Let everything else be normal. So think about what that is for you. Let me know what it is, and I will keep you accountable if you're willing to do it until the end of the month. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. We're already like 2 days into the month anyway, so it's shorter. This is like February 2 for you if you want to do a challenge, because all the New Year's resolutions have failed, mostly because they're via Positiva additive goals that all fail, because they're trying to add something in your life you're not ready for, because you need to subtract before you're ready to add anymore. So think about what that is for you. And with that, just know that perfection seems to get a bad rap. I learned in this corner over here that I had to be okay with accepting good enough. So I'll cheers to that. But perfection is a negative act. Perfection is an act of negation. Because when something is perfect, there is nothing left to be removed.
Oh. Yay, Timo!
Thanks for listening. Who has questions? Yes.
I'm wondering if you should use the word perfecting instead of perfection.
Sure. If
Because
that works for you.
perfecting is that process, like you're saying, if David is becoming David,
Yep.
Michelangelo is doing all of that, he's perfecting it, and perfection is the result.
I will give you that if that works better for you. If that state, so my good enough story that I just slightly referenced was exactly this piece. So you can negate to a certain point with art until you just have to launch it. Because if you launch nothing, you're never an artist. You have to ship something.
Yeah.
But when it comes to us, it's an infinite process. Heck, if I know, I can't even describe it as infinity,
You
right?
can't wait
I know,
till you get there.
I know that I can't define it yet,
Yeah.
but I know what I can say no to. Like, let's go out tonight. Hey, what are you going to do tonight? This is like my own narrative, but like, hey, let's go out tonight. What do you want to do tonight? It's 3 years ago, Timo. What do you want to do tonight? Oh, I don't know. What do you want to do? Like, oh, let's do this. I don't want to do that. What if you just ask, what do you not want to do tonight? Or what are you not going to do tonight? But I mean, really take it seriously. Well, I'm going to tone it down. Instead of 6 drinks, I'm going to have 2. Whatever that is for you. No, it doesn't answer your question.
I thought your David example was just opening up, breaking open. I thought that was awesome. I love that analogy of chipping away everything. And well, I guess this isn't even a question. It was just, I love
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
It was just amazing to have that visual of chipping away everything that isn't David by a master. Thank you.
Just about the perfection thing, I think any tool can be a weapon depending on how you hold it.
Beautiful.
And so perfection, and most of us use perfection as a weapon. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Oh, nobody's going to want that. Do you know what I mean? But there's something about perfection just being what it is, and I think that's what you're talking about. It's like not forcing yourself to add something to it to become perfect.
You're already
It's
there.
like it's there. Yeah.
Jake?
Yeah, and also the interventionist piece, I think, is super critical for our time. It reminds me of, I think Alan Watts said, kindly stop flopping around so I can help you, said the monkey as he pulled the fish safely out of a tree. So it kind of goes to like our whole environment, and a lot of our healthcare can be like that too. We add on all these Band-Aids until,
Yeah, the language that we use, the cycle of violence that it's really easy to feed into with negative words, social media. And regardless, yeah, I'm not getting punched in the mouth when I go to my Facebook. I'm a nice guy on Facebook. But some people use some nasty words, this cycle of violence that we can opt out of.
Exactly.
Right?
just a story that came to mind. I am from Mexico, and when I go to the store and I go to buy something as simple as juice, I can never just get the right kind of juice because it's like juice with a little bit of this, with a little bit of that, with a little bit of that, and my kids just want simple juice without the pulp or whatever. And so just cutting off, even when you go to the grocery store, it's like I can't even just get juice. I have to like get bombarded with all these different options. So it's everywhere around us, and so thank you for bringing these.
A lot of info out there.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
For sure.
Alma.
I just relate so much to the part of taking this out because as you're talking, I'm like, oh my God, like my house went out, like the money, like everything, like the health, and that really brought me to my David. You know, like to my, you know, to find my beauty, my courage, so what an incredible way to put it, like Annie said. It's just like we all should how do you say, like I'm not subtracting from our lives and to create that tornado to
Love it.
check everything.
You ended on Steve Jobs. Can I give you some Steve Jobs too?
Yeah, please.
Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. That's the end of a wider quote, but that's the punchline.
It's more of a comment. Speaking of punchlines, thank you for introducing me, the first time hearing you speak, to what's feeling like laughter afterburn. Where like you get the laugh and then it sinks in a little bit and then it's like, the second round of it. It's like a double wisdom. So I just am infused with whatever that is. So thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
That's Timo right there.
Yeah.
That's side effect of Timo.
Yeah.
Any other questions? We good?
You guys can keep asking. Just make sure you use the bathroom, get snacks if you need. I'm going to start in just a couple minutes. So.
Any questions?
No, I didn't get
Good
it.
night.